Alex had never imagined that a casual friendship could lead to a moment like this. He stood outside the entrance to an alien palace, his heart racing. The city around him was unlike anything he had seen on Earth, with buildings that stretched high into the sky, their surfaces shimmering with colors Alex couldn't even name. The air was thick with the scent of strange flowers, and the ground beneath his boots was smooth, metallic, and slightly warm to the touch. This was Zora's home planet, and now, after months of communication and learning about her world, Alex was finally here. Zora had always been an enigma to Alex, someone he could never fully understand. She was from a far-off planet, one whose species had far surpassed humanity in technology, and yet Zora seemed to enjoy the simple things, the books Alex recommended, the old Earth films they watched together, the quiet nights spent chatting. They had become close friends, despite their differences, and when Zora invited him to visit, Alex had been thrilled. But as he stepped into the alien world, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had stepped into something much larger than a simple friendship. Zora had been excited when she extended the invitation. "You'll love my home, Alex," she had said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "We have the best views, the most advanced technology, and, well, you'll see for yourself. My mother will be so happy to meet you." Her mother. That was the part that unsettled Alex the most. Zora's mother was an important figure on her planet, someone whose name carried weight in the highest circles. Alex had heard about her from Zora. She was a member of the Planetary Council, a powerful political force, and an influential voice in the intergalactic politics that shaped their world. Zora had told him many stories about her mother, but there was always a sense of distance in her words, like Zora was trying to keep some part of her life hidden from him. Alex had learned long ago that Zora wasn't the type to share everything. She was kind and generous, but her life wasn't an open book, and the invitation to meet her mother felt like a turning point in their relationship. Zora's words echoed in Alex's mind as he waited for the doors to open. "You're in trouble," she had whispered to him the day before, a cryptic warning that left him questioning everything. He had brushed it off at the time, thinking it was just Zora being dramatic. But now, standing outside her mother's palace, Alex couldn't help but feel that something was off. The massive doors of the palace swung open, revealing a grand hall that took Alex's breath away. The walls were lined with glowing symbols, and the ceiling stretched so high that Alex could barely see where it ended. There was an ethereal quality to the place, as if it were made from something other than the solid materials of Earth. Everything about the palace screamed wealth and power. Zora's mother, it seemed, wasn't just a politician, she was a queen in her own right. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, Zora's mother. She was regal with a presence that immediately made Alex feel small. Her skin was a pale shade of blue, her features sharp and symmetrical, and her eyes glowed softly with an inner light. She moved with grace, as though the very air parted for her. Her clothing was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. Flowing robes made from shimmering fabric that seemed to change color depending on how the light hit it. Zora's mother gave him a polite, distant smile as she approached. "Alex, welcome," she said, her voice smooth and commanding. There was no warmth in her tone, just a sense of formality that made Alex feel even more out of place. "Thank you for having me," Alex replied, trying to match her formality but failing miserably. He felt like a child standing in front of a great ruler, unsure of what to do or say next. Zora's mother took a step closer, studying him with an intensity that made Alex uncomfortable. "I've heard much about you." "Zora speaks highly of you," she said, her eyes scanning him as if she were measuring his worth. Zora, standing behind her mother, gave Alex an uneasy smile. "I'm glad you came," she whispered under her breath, though her eyes told a different story. Alex noticed her nervousness, but before he could ask about it, Zora's mother continued. "Come, let me show you around. You must be exhausted from your journey." The rest of the tour was a blur for Alex. The palace was vast, with halls that seemed to stretch endlessly. Zora's mother led them through rooms filled with alien technology, displays of shimmering light and holograms that seemed to interact with the very air. There were gardens inside the palace, plants that Alex had never seen before, some of them floating in the air, others glowing with an eerie, pulsating light. Despite the beauty and sophistication of everything around him, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was being judged. Zora's mother watched him closely, asking questions about Earth, his life, and his experiences. But there was something in the way she asked, as if she was probing, searching for something deeper. Alex couldn't tell if it was just his imagination, but every time Zora's mother smiled, it felt as though she were hiding something. Finally, after what felt like hours, they arrived at a large chamber at the heart of the palace. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings, and the floor was made of a smooth, glossy surface that reflected the light in a mesmerizing way. It was here that Zora's mother stopped and turned to face Alex. "This is where we'll have dinner," she said, her voice softening slightly. "You must be hungry." Alex nodded, though his stomach was in knots. He was far from hungry. Before he could respond, Zora leaned in close to him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Alex, I need to warn you," she said, her words filled with urgency. "You're in trouble. My mother, she has plans for you. Plans you won't be able to avoid. I didn't want this for you. Please be careful." Alex's eyes widened, but before he could ask her what she meant, Zora's mother turned back to them, smiling warmly. "Come, sit. It's time to enjoy the meal." But Alex couldn't enjoy the meal. As they sat down to eat, his mind raced, trying to piece together what Zora had said. What plans? What trouble? He looked at Zora, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. It was as if she were hiding something, and Alex didn't know what to make of it. The evening passed slowly, with Zora's mother talking about her planet's history and the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. She spoke as though she were explaining it all to a child, but Alex felt a growing unease. It was as if she were laying out the rules of a game he had been thrust into without knowing the stakes. As the night wore on, Alex found himself exhausted, both physically and mentally. His thoughts were a tangled mess of confusion, suspicion, and fear. But he knew one thing for sure: he wasn't just a guest in this palace. He was a player in something much bigger, and Zora's warning echoed in his mind. "You're in trouble." Alex woke up the next morning to a soft, unfamiliar sound. It wasn't the usual buzzing of alarms or the hum of machines like he was used to on Earth. Instead, it was a gentle melody, echoing through the walls of the room. For a moment, he was unsure where he was. The walls around him were smooth and shimmering, reflecting a faint blue glow. The air was clean, almost too clean, with a touch of something sweet like flowers. The bed he lay on was made of some material Alex couldn't quite identify. It was soft yet firm, as if it had been designed to support him perfectly. He sat up, rubbing his eyes and trying to shake off the haze of sleep. The events of the previous day rushed back to him, and a cold feeling settled in his chest. Zora's warning, "You're in trouble." The strange tension in the air. Zora's mother with her calculated smiles and cryptic words. Alex had no idea what was happening, but he knew one thing for sure. His life had just become far more complicated than he had ever imagined. After a few moments, there was a soft knock on the door, followed by Zora's voice calling out, "Alex, are you awake?" "Yeah, I'm up," Alex replied, swinging his legs off the bed and standing up. He felt his stomach tighten in anticipation. He wasn't sure what to expect next, but he knew it wasn't going to be simple. The door slid open, revealing Zora standing in the doorway. She was dressed in her usual outfit, simple yet elegant, with long, flowing fabric that seemed to shift in color with the light. But there was something in her eyes that made Alex pause. Her usual carefree attitude had vanished. Instead, there was a look of concern on her face mixed with something else, guilt. "We need to talk," Zora said quietly, stepping into the room. "I'm sorry, I didn't want you to get involved in this." Alex frowned. "What do you mean? What's going on, Zora?" Zora looked down at the floor, her fingers nervously twisting the fabric of her clothing. "My mother," she began slowly, "she's not just a political figure. She has plans for Earth, plans that involve you." Alex felt his heart skip a beat. "What kind of plans?" Zora met his eyes, her expression serious. "I don't know everything, but I do know that she wants to use you, Alex. She sees you as an asset, a way to strengthen her position and her influence over both our planet and Earth. You're a symbol of peace, of strength. She's been working on this for a long time." Alex took a step back, his mind spinning. "So this whole invitation, this wasn't just to hang out. She invited me here to use me?" Zora nodded, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, I didn't know until recently. She didn't tell me everything at first. I thought it was just a visit, a chance for us to get to know each other. But then she started talking about you in ways I didn't understand. About how you could help her secure a deal with Earth, how you could be used to manipulate the political balance. I didn't want to believe it, but now it's clear." Alex stood there for a long moment, processing everything Zora had said. His thoughts raced, each one tumbling over the other. He had come to this planet thinking it would be an opportunity to learn, to explore. He had never imagined that he'd be caught in the middle of interplanetary politics. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Alex asked, his voice quieter now, hurt slipping into his tone. Zora looked away, her gaze drifting to the floor. "I didn't know how. I didn't want to lose you as a friend, and I didn't want you to feel like a pawn. I thought maybe it would be okay, that we could just pretend things were normal, but now I see that it's not going to work like that." Alex felt a mix of anger and confusion rise within him. "So all this time I've been part of some plan. Some game that your mother's playing with Earth's future?" Zora shook her head, her voice pleading. "No, it's not like that. She doesn't care about you personally. She just wants your influence. She sees you as a way to solidify her power. I'm not sure how much she's planning to reveal to you, but I need you to understand that you're more than just a guest here. You're a symbol, a tool for her to use." Alex stared at her, unable to process everything at once. He had thought he was a guest, a friend. But now he realized that Zora's mother had never seen him as anything more than a means to an end. He had become a piece in a game he didn't fully understand. "I need to get out of here," Alex muttered, the urgency in his voice clear. He needed to leave to get back to Earth where things made sense, but Zora stopped him before he could move. "You can't," she said, her voice firm. "It's not that simple. My mother has already made plans for you. Leaving now would cause problems, not just for you, but for both our worlds." Alex turned to face her, his eyes wide with disbelief. "What do you mean? If she's using me, I have to get out of here before she does something worse." Zora stepped closer, her face inches from his. "It's not about just leaving. My mother has connections, people who will make sure you never get back to Earth. She's not going to let you go easily. I wish things were different, but right now, I don't think there's a way out. We have to play this carefully." Alex let out a frustrated sigh, running a hand through his hair. "This is insane. I don't even know what's going on anymore. One minute I'm visiting a friend's home, and the next minute I'm caught in the middle of an alien political game. What am I supposed to do now?" Zora hesitated, her eyes searching his face. "I don't know, but I'm going to help you. I won't let my mother use you like this. I'll find a way to make this right, but we have to be careful. If we make the wrong move, it could cost you everything." Alex looked at her, unsure whether to trust her. He wanted to believe Zora, but everything felt so uncertain. He had never imagined his life would lead him to a place like this, a place where the fate of two worlds rested on his shoulders. He had come here as a friend, but now it seemed like he had become part of something much bigger, something dangerous. "I'll do whatever it takes," Alex said, his voice determined. "I don't know what your mother's planning, but I won't let her control me. I came here to learn not to be used." Zora nodded, her expression resolute. "We'll figure this out, Alex, I promise." As she turned to leave, Alex stood still, his mind spinning with all the new information. He wasn't sure what was going to happen next, but one thing was clear. This was no longer a simple visit. He was in the middle of a conflict he hadn't asked for, and he had to find a way to navigate it without losing himself in the process. The door slid shut behind him, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts. The weight of Zora's words hung heavily in the air, and the uncertainty of the future gnawed at him. He had been caught in a game he hadn't chosen, and now he had to find a way to survive it. But the question lingered in his mind. Could he trust Zora, or was she just as trapped as he was? Alex woke to the sound of distant voices, muffled through the thick walls of the room. He didn't know how long he had slept, but the soft morning light filtering through the windows told him it was probably time to face the reality of the situation. His mind was still heavy with the events of yesterday, the invitation to Zora's home, the strange tension, Zora's cryptic warning, and the unsettling truth about her mother's intentions. Everything seemed to be spinning out of control, and Alex wasn't sure what to do next. He sat up in the bed, rubbing his eyes and trying to collect his thoughts. Zora's words echoed in his mind. "You're in trouble." They had been haunting him since she said them, and now he was beginning to see just how true they were. Zora's mother wasn't just an ordinary alien leader. She was a calculating political force, and Alex had unwittingly walked right into the middle of her plans. He had no idea what kind of game she was playing, but he could feel it in his bones that things were about to get a lot more complicated. The door to his room slid open, and Zora stepped in. She looked the same as always, but there was something different about her today. Her eyes were tired, and the usual carefree smile was nowhere to be found. Instead, her face was marked with concern, her lips pressed together in a tight line. "Alex, we need to talk," she said, her voice low and serious. Alex stood up, feeling a sudden rush of adrenaline. He had been expecting this moment, but now that it was here, he didn't know what to expect. "What's going on, Zora? You said I was in trouble, but I still don't understand what that means. What does your mother want with me?" Zora looked at him for a moment, her expression softening as if she wanted to explain but wasn't sure how. "I don't know all the details, but I do know this much. My mother has plans for you, Alex. She's been using you as a bargaining chip. You're more important than you realize." Alex felt his stomach drop. "I'm just some kind of political tool to her, aren't I?" Zora nodded, her eyes filled with regret. "I never wanted you to be part of this, but I think my mother sees you as a way to strengthen her power. She wants to use your presence here as a way to make a deal with Earth, to secure her position as the leader of this planet. And I think she plans to manipulate you into becoming the symbol of peace between our worlds." Alex ran a hand through his hair, trying to wrap his mind around the situation. He had come to this planet thinking it would be a simple visit, an opportunity to learn about an alien culture and make new friends. Instead, he had walked into a political mess that he wasn't prepared for. "But why me? Why am I so important to her?" "I don't know," Zora said, her voice heavy with frustration. "I don't understand all of her motives. But I do know that you're a human, and my mother sees that as something valuable. Earth is a powerful planet, and if she can secure a strong alliance with Earth, she'll be untouchable. She's been trying to form this alliance for years, and now you're caught in the middle of it." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation bearing down on him. This was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. He wasn't just a visitor in an alien world. He was a piece on a chessboard, being moved around by forces beyond his control. "So what do we do now?" Alex asked, his voice low. Zora hesitated as if she were weighing her options. "We need to be careful. My mother is powerful and she's always watching. She'll never let you leave unless she gets what she wants. But I'm not going to let her use you like this. I'll help you find a way out of this mess, but we have to be careful. If we make the wrong move, we could put both our worlds in danger." Alex looked at her, his mind racing. "But how do we even start? My mother already sees me as a tool. She's going to want something from me, and I don't know what that is. I don't know how to stop her." Zora's eyes hardened. "You don't have to do anything, Alex. We'll find a way to get you out of here without her using you. But you have to trust me. I'm not going to let her control you. We'll figure this out together." For the first time since arriving on this planet, Alex felt a spark of hope. He wasn't alone in this. Zora was on his side, and for some reason, that made everything feel just a little bit less hopeless. "I'll trust you," Alex said, his voice firm. "But we need to move quickly. I don't want to be stuck here for another minute longer than I have to." Zora nodded, determination in her eyes. "I'll do everything I can to protect you, Alex, but we need to keep our heads down and not draw attention to ourselves. If my mother suspects anything, we'll be in even more danger. Let's head to the control center. I'll show you everything I've learned about her plans." The two of them moved quietly through the halls of the palace, the grandeur of the surroundings doing little to calm Alex's nerves. He had never felt so out of place in his life. The alien architecture was beautiful, but it only served to remind him how far from home he truly was. Every step they took seemed to echo in the empty halls, and every time they passed a guard, Alex felt as though they were being watched. Zora led him to a small, nondescript door at the end of a long hallway. She paused before opening it, glancing around to make sure no one was nearby. "This is the control center," Zora whispered as she opened the door. The room inside was filled with holographic screens, each one displaying complex data that Alex didn't understand. It looked like something straight out of a science fiction movie, and for a moment, Alex felt overwhelmed by the sheer level of technology around him. Zora walked up to one of the screens and began tapping at it, pulling up maps of the planet and the surrounding space. "This is where my mother's been working on her plans. She's been in contact with Earth for months, trying to arrange an alliance. She's using the political unrest on Earth as leverage to make deals with the most powerful nations. If she succeeds, she'll have control over both our worlds." Alex felt a cold chill run down his spine as he looked at the screen. "So she's been using Earth's problems to her advantage," Zora nodded. "Yes, she's been manipulating the situation, trying to use the chaos to her benefit, And you, Alex, are the key to sealing the deal. You're her trump card. Alex felt sick. He had never thought about Earth's political situation as something other planets could exploit. But now, Zora's mother was doing exactly that, using Earth's power to play her own game. Alex had always believed that Earth was safe, protected by its distance from other worlds, but now he realized that their planet was just another piece in the intergalactic power struggle. "What happens if we don't stop her?" Alex asked, his voice tight with fear. "If we don't stop her," Zora said quietly, "she'll have the power to control everything. Earth will be forced to follow her demands, and our world will be locked in an alliance that could lead to war. We can't let that happen." Alex's mind was racing. He had come here thinking he would learn something new, experience something extraordinary. Instead, he had walked into a political nightmare, and now it was up to him to help stop it. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders, and for a moment he wondered if he was even strong enough to handle it. But then he looked at Zora, standing beside him, her eyes filled with determination. She wasn't going to let her mother win, and neither would he. They had to find a way to stop this before it was too late. "I'm with you, Zora," Alex said, his voice steady. "We'll stop her, together." Zora smiled at him, her expression a mix of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, Alex. We'll figure this out, I promise." And with that, they began to plan. The fate of both their worlds rested on their shoulders, but Alex wasn't going to back down. Not now. Not when everything he cared about was at stake. The hours dragged by as Alex and Zora worked in the control center, analyzing the data Zora had gathered. The screens flickered with information that Alex couldn't fully understand, alien symbols and codes that seemed to blur together. He was used to machines, to technology, but this was on an entirely different level. Zora, however, moved through the data with ease, her fingers tapping quickly on the holographic screens, pulling up maps of Earth and their home planet. She studied the lines and grids, her brow furrowed in concentration. "She's been working on this for months, Alex," she said quietly. "The deal with Earth is almost sealed. It's just a matter of time before everything falls into place." Alex leaned in, trying to follow along. "What exactly is she trying to do? What's in it for her?" Zora sighed, looking up from the screens. "It's about control. She wants to secure Earth as an ally, but not just as a partner. She wants Earth to be under her influence. If she can control Earth's government, she'll have the power to dictate terms across the entire galaxy. My mother believes that if she can establish a connection with Earth's leaders, she'll be unstoppable." Alex felt his stomach churn. This wasn't just about politics. It was about power, about manipulation. He had no idea how far Zora's mother was willing to go to achieve her goals, but it was clear now that Earth wasn't just a peaceful ally in her eyes. Earth was a tool to be used, a prize to be claimed. "So, what's my part in all of this?" Alex asked, his voice tight. "Why does she need me?" Zora's eyes met his, her expression serious. "She thinks of you as the perfect symbol, a human, one who has traveled to this planet who can speak for Earth. You represent an opportunity to show Earth's power and potential to her allies. She believes if she can use you, she can get Earth's leaders to listen. You'll be the face of her negotiations." Alex shook his head, trying to process everything. "So I'm just a puppet, a pawn in her game?" Zora didn't answer right away. She just looked at him, her face troubled. "I wish I could say it's that simple, but you're more than just a symbol to her. You're a bridge between two worlds, and that makes you incredibly valuable. She wants to control you, Alex, but she also wants to use you to manipulate the people back on Earth." The weight of the situation sank deeper into Alex's chest. He wasn't just trapped in an alien world. He was caught in the middle of an intergalactic power struggle. Zora had been right. This was bigger than both of them. "Is there any way to stop her?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He felt helpless, unsure how to even begin fighting against something this massive. Zora's mother wasn't just a leader on her planet. She was a political mastermind, and Alex was just a human caught in her web. Zora looked at him for a long time before answering. "I don't know, but we can't just sit back and let her have everything. I've been trying to figure out a way to stop her without starting a war. We need to find a way to disrupt her plans, to throw a wrench in the deal she's working so hard to make." "How do we do that?" Alex asked. "We don't have the power or resources to take her on directly." Zora thought for a moment. "I don't know, but there's one thing we can do. We need to find out who else is supporting her, who's behind this deal. If we can identify her allies, maybe we can find a way to break their hold on the situation. Alex nodded, the plan making sense, though it felt risky. Do you know who her allies are? Zora shook her head. Not exactly, but I have some ideas. I've been tracking the communications between her and certain factions on Earth and other planets. It's all encrypted, but there are patterns, messages hidden in the data. If we can break those codes, maybe we can get more information. The thought of hacking into the alien network made Alex uneasy. He had never done anything like that before, but if it was the only way to uncover the truth, he knew he had no choice. I'll help, Alex said firmly. I don't know how much I can do, but I can try to figure out how to break into the system. Maybe I can find a way to access those hidden messages. Zora smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes. Thank you, Alex. I know this is a lot to ask, but we're running out of time. If we don't act soon, my mother's plans will be unstoppable. Together, they worked through the night, trying to decode the encrypted data. Alex found himself growing more and more immersed in the alien technology, using his skills to navigate through unfamiliar systems. It was slow going, but Zora was patient, offering guidance where she could, helping him understand the complexities of the alien code. Hours passed, and they barely spoke, both of them completely focused on their task. Alex's eyes grew heavy, but he pushed through, determined to find a way out of this mess. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about saving Earth, about stopping Zora's mother from manipulating the planet he called home. Finally, just as the first rays of dawn began to filter through the windows of the control center, Alex stumbled across something. It was a small file, buried deep in the system, but it was enough. He pulled it up and began scanning through the data, his heart racing as he realized what he had found. This is it, Alex muttered under his breath, his eyes wide with disbelief. I think I found her plans. Zora rushed over to his side, her expression tense. She looked over his shoulder at the screen, her face paling as she saw what Alex had uncovered. What is this? Zora whispered. It was a series of encrypted communications between Zora's mother and several powerful figures from across the galaxy. Leaders from other planets, military commanders, and even representatives from Earth. It wasn't just a deal between two worlds. It was an alliance, a network of power brokers who were all working together to manipulate Earth's resources and political influence. The depth of the conspiracy was staggering. We need to act fast, Zora said, her voice urgent. If my mother gets this deal, it will be too late. Earth will be under her control, and there won't be anything we can do to stop it. Alex nodded, his mind reeling. He had never expected to find something like this, but now that they had the information, the next steps were clear. What do we do with this? Who do we tell? Zora took a deep breath. We can't go to the Earth government directly. My mother controls too much, and they might be compromised already. We need to find someone who can help us from the inside, someone who can work with us without tipping her off. Alex frowned, thinking hard. I know someone who might be able to help. There's a contact I have back on Earth, a journalist who specializes in government corruption and political scandals. If anyone can dig up the truth, it's him. Zora's eyes lit up. Then that's our next step. We send this information to him and hope he can get it out to the right people. Alex stood up, his heart pounding in his chest. They had a plan, but it was risky. Sending the data to Earth could be their only shot at stopping Zora's mother, but if they weren't careful, it could all backfire. Still, Alex knew there was no other choice. Let's do it, he said, his voice steady despite the fear running through him. We'll send it to your contact, and we'll keep moving. There's no turning back now. Zora nodded, determination in her eyes. We'll do this together. We're not alone in this. And with that, they set their plan into motion. It wasn't the end, but it was the beginning of their fight. A fight that would take them deep into the heart of the conspiracy, where the truth was waiting to be uncovered.